In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. I begin with His name, who is extremely kind. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, spent a few years of his life with his uncle, Hazrat Zubair bin Abdul Muttalib. Once, the Prophet, peace be upon him, traveled to Yemen with his uncle, Zubair bin Abdul Muttalib. On the way, their caravan passed through a place where a disobedient camel was blocking the path and troubling the travelers. But when the camel saw the Prophet, peace be upon him, it immediately sat down and started rubbing its chest on the ground. The Prophet, peace be upon him, got off his camel and walked towards it. The camel then led him to the valley. After that, the Prophet, peace be upon him, let the camel go. When the caravan was returning from the journey, they passed through a place where a fast-flowing mountain stream had formed due to rain. Seeing this, the Prophet, peace be upon him, told the people of the caravan to follow him. He then confidently entered the valley, and the rest of the caravan followed him. By the will of Allah, the fast-flowing stream dried up, and the Prophet, peace be upon him, safely led the entire caravan across. When they reached Mecca, people started talking about this strange event. The people of Mecca said, "Surely Muhammad, the son of Abdullah, has some special status." Once, the Prophet's uncle, Abu Talib, planned to go to Syria for trade. The Prophet, peace be upon him, insisted on going with him. Hearing this, Abu Talib said, "By Allah, I will surely fulfill your request." Finally, Abu Talib set out with the Prophet, peace be upon him. The caravan stopped to rest in a place called Basra in present-day Iraq. There lived a Christian monk named Bahira. His real name was Jirgis, but he was more commonly known as Bahira. The people of Mecca usually rested here on their way to Syria, but Bahira never spoke to them. However, this time, Bahira noticed the Prophet, peace be upon him, and observed him closely. He saw that a cloud was shading the Prophet, peace be upon him, wherever he went. This cloud moved with him and continuously provided shade. Bahira sent a message to the caravan saying, "I have prepared food for you. I invite all of you, including children, elders, and servants, to join me." One person from the caravan said, "Bahira, we often pass through this route, but you have never invited us before. What is special today?" Bahira simply replied, "You are right, but today you are my guests, and guests should be honored." The entire caravan went to accept the invitation, but the Prophet, peace be upon him, was sleeping under a tree. Bahira looked for the special sign that only the last Prophet of Allah would have, but he didn't find it among the guests. He became restless and went outside, where he saw the cloud shading the Prophet, peace be upon him, under a tree. Bahira said, "O people of Quraysh, why hasn't everyone from your caravan come?" Someone replied, "Only a young boy is missing because he was sleeping." Bahira said, "Please bring him. It is not good that one of you is left out." Someone went and brought the Prophet, peace be upon him. As they walked, the cloud continued to shade him. Bahira saw this clearly and observed the Prophet, peace be upon him, more closely. After everyone finished eating, Bahira approached the Prophet, peace be upon him, and said, "I want to ask you about Lat and Uzza." The Prophet, peace be upon him, replied, "Do not ask me about Lat and Uzza. By Allah, I hate them the most." Bahira then looked at the seal of prophethood on the Prophet's back, which was exactly as he had read about it. Tears came to his eyes, and he kissed the seal. The people were amazed and asked Bahira, "Why are you behaving like this? Please explain." Bahira did not answer them, but instead asked Abu Talib, "What is your relation to this boy?" Abu Talib said, "Muhammad is my son." Then Bahira said, "Impossible. This boy cannot be your own son. His father cannot be alive." Abu Talib was surprised and said, "Actually, Muhammad is my nephew." Bahira then said, "Before this boy was born, his father passed away. And a few years after his birth, his mother also passed away." Abu Talib was even more shocked and said, "You are right. My nephew Muhammad's mother passed away recently." Then Bahira took Abu Talib aside and said, "Take great care of this boy. The signs I see in him are special. If the Jews recognize these signs, they will try to harm him, because this boy will be the last prophet and messenger, and his honor will be above all others." Hearing this, Abu Talib became very worried and immediately took Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, back to Mecca. At that time, the Prophet was only 9 years old. One time, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, travelled to a place called Sham, Syria, for business on behalf of Hazrat Khadija. May Allah be pleased with her. On the journey, a cloud started following him, providing shade. When the Prophet reached the market in the city of Basra, he rested under a tree. Near that place, a Christian priest lived. The priest saw the Prophet and came towards the caravan. The priest asked a man from the caravan, "Who is the person sitting under the tree?" The man replied, "He is from the famous Quraysh tribe of Makkah." The priest said, "No one but a chosen prophet of Allah can sit under this tree. Until today, no ordinary person has ever sat under it. Allah has kept this tree reserved for his prophet." Then the priest asked, "Do his eyes always look slightly red?" The man replied, "Yes, his eyes always appear reddish." The priest then said, "Then he is the one." The man was shocked and asked, "What do you mean by he is the one?" The priest explained, "He is the last prophet of this world." Then the priest sadly said, "If only I could live long enough to meet him again, I would consider myself very lucky." Another incident happened on the journey. Hazrat Khadija's worker became worried because 2 of their camels were very tired and could not walk properly. The worker told Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, about this problem. The Prophet went near the camels and touched their backs gently. As soon as the camels felt his touch, they suddenly became full of energy and started walking so fast that they moved ahead of the whole caravan. The camels even made joyful sounds. Later, when the caravan reached their destination and sold their goods, they made a huge profit, more than ever before. The worker of Hazrat Khadija told Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, "O Muhammad, we have been doing business for many years, but we never made such a big profit like this before." Finally, the caravan started its journey back to Makkah. The worker also noticed something unusual. Whenever the sun was too hot, a cloud would always provide shade over Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, to protect him from the sun. According to Bukhari and Muslim hadith, Hazrat Anas bin Malik, may Allah be pleased with him, narrated that one day a pot filled with water was brought to the Prophet. He placed his blessed hand in the pot, and suddenly water started flowing from between his fingers like a fountain. Everyone drank and used that water. Hazrat Qatada once asked Hazrat Anas bin Malik, "How many people were there at that time?" He replied, "We were 300 or a little more." According to a narration in Sahih Bukhari, Hazrat Abu Sa'id Khudri, may Allah be pleased with him, described the event. "On the day of Hudaybiyyah, we were 1,400 in number. We drew water from the well of Hudaybiyyah until not a single drop was left. The companions became worried as the water ran out and went to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. The Prophet, peace be upon him, came to the well and made a supplication for water. Then he took a small amount of water in his mouth, rinsed it and poured it back into the well. After a while, so much water rose in the well that we all drank from it, filled our water bags, and even our animals drank to their fill. Subhanallah. Dear viewers, to receive new videos every day, please subscribe to our channel and don't forget to press the bell icon next to it. Also, feel free to share your thoughts by commenting on our videos. We hope you all stay well and healthy.
Assalamu alaikum.